I'm just going to go for this right here. I'm just going to go for it. I am also I'm also recording live on YouTube as I'm doing this with TikTok, because TikTok is so damn discriminatory. And if you have any kind of if you talk about controversial subjects, if you're black, they come after you so damn hard. And everybody knows this. Everybody knows that TikTok is as discriminatory as they possibly can be. And I do plan to challenge this shit, but just right now, when you're black, and especially if you're involved in the African liberation struggle, as I am, you just have so many things coming at you. You can't even specialize in issues. But I am resilient. I am strong, and ain't no damn way in hell am I going to give up a cave in to this colonialist bullshit that continues to happen. And TikTok it definitely happens on TikTok. So I am also live streaming from YouTube, because at least YouTube I'll have my content. But I wanted to get into what is going on with Tyre Nichols. And let me just start out by saying, you might hear my cats in the background. One of my cats are in heat, and I don't believe in spaying the cats. And I don't let them go out either, but I don't believe in giving cats hysterectomy if I don't have to. So this is my choice of what I'm doing. So you might hear them in the background. But I wanted to get into what happened with this Memphis brutality, this Memphis beating. Tyre Nichols, I hope I'm saying the brother's name correctly. And there are so many layers to this. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit. And let me also just say that I don't know why I can't move my camera the way I would like to. But I want to say that my page, my whole reason for utilizing social media is to build up the Black liberation struggle. And in doing so, to also connect with people who believe in justice and who believe in being on the right side of the issues. I'm not going to at all allow my conversations or anyone to derail the topics and the discussions that I'm having by bringing in their little trolling BS. So there might be some comments that might get by me because I'm not paying that close attention to the comments right now, but they will be blocked. I am not going to cater to them at all. You have to elevate your mindset. You have to be on a certain level to participate in conversations that I participate in. And many times many times they're just trolls, and they will bring their foolishness and their ignorance. They'll try to inject it into these conversations, and that just lowers the level of the discussion. And then people have to try to explain very basic concepts to people who don't give a damn about these things at all, and they'll just try to derail your topic. They'll try to slow down the conversation. That does not happen on my page. I block people immediately. So I just want to say this in case there might be some comments on here. You're out of here. You said Tyre shouldn't have resisted. You're blocked. I'm not having these conversations with people like this who are just so damn dense, so not advanced. They vibrate on such on a gutter level just about, and I'm not even having them on here. And it's just a shame that some people just get off. They have no other way to define their existence other than by the brutality of other people and their bloodshed. I'm having nothing to do with that. They're blocked. They're out of here. They're out of here. So again, let me just block these people. I'm not going to even acknowledge their existence. They're like garbage. I don't get all worked up over garbage. I take the garbage out whenever I see it, but I'm not acknowledging their existence. But hello there, brother Latin BSN dude. We're talking about Tyre Nichols, that vicious beatdown, that vicious brutality that happened. And we have to have a very serious look in terms of the struggle, in terms of, well, the Black community, my community of people fighting for liberation and for justice. We have to really have a hard, long look at this, because it's like we're on a system of wash, rinse, and repeat. The brutality continues to happen. We go out and protest, and then we turn around and vote for the same damn systems of oppression. Most of us that I know who consider themselves leftists or in the Black liberation struggle, the majority of that electorate, for some reason, is tied to the nose, by their noses, to the Democratic Party. I support none of these parties. I really don't. But both people, if you're Democrat or Republican, if you even begin with that conversation, you're being led by your noses. It's the biggest losing strategy out there, but it is deadly for Black people. I want to remind people that after the Democratic Party won both damn houses and the White House, they had control of it all and still have not been able to push through anything. The wars continue, well, of course, but the United States is a pro-war society. It's not even an anti-war society. There is not even a large segment of the population, of the people in the United States, that even makes ending the war a demand in any election. So let's just call it what it is. It is a militaristic society, pro-war society. It just is. People have continuously voted for pro-war candidates, the majority of the electorate who votes, whether they're Democrat or Republican. So that is what it is. Breaks my heart to say that, but it's true. And then the Democratic Party, which still, for some unknown reason, just has such loyalty from the Black community, loyalty beyond anything that is rational or reasonable, they do. And there's no accountability. They are rewarded for their betrayals and for their horrible behavior. I want to remind people that the Democratic Party, again, won control of everything. They got the presidency, they got the House, and they got the Senate. And then they're going to talk about, oh, well, we just don't have a large enough minority. Damn it, you had a large enough majority to do anything. But even when Obama was in office and they had a larger majority to do things, they did nothing. They do nothing. And then they preyed upon the Black community with the issues of police brutality to get into office. There was a call to defund the police. Now, I never used that language. That was not a call that I could get behind a lot, not because I necessarily disagreed with the message, but because I thought it was the wrong language that was being used, because talking about defunding the police does not at all speak to the power dynamic. As Black people, we should have Black community control of the police. And I'm not talking about blackface over a colonialist system. Those are Black officers that beat that young man to death. That is inexcusable, and I'm so proud that I don't hear the Black community trying to make excuses for that, because when it happens, when it is a white officer that takes out a Black person, you many times hear white people making excuses for that. I'm glad, I'm so proud that I have not heard that. But still, when I say Black community control of the police, I'm not talking about blackface. I'm not talking about colonialism and systems of oppression and racism and blackface, because that's exactly what we had. When you go out and repeat, when a Black person goes out and repeat repeat and embrace these colonialist systems of oppression, and then turn around and do exactly what colonizers will do, because they will toward their own kind. I don't want it done to anybody. That is all that is. So I'm not talking about blackface. I'm not talking about, oh, just black police officers representing the system of oppression. I'm talking about a completely different system. I'm talking about black community control. Black people have the right to set up our own systems, which we never did in this country. We never did. We have the right to set up our own systems. We have the right to define and to control what policing is, what that concept is. We have the right to define and control medicine, our medical modalities. We have the right to set that up for ourselves, not the FDA or the CDC. TikTok might suspend me for this, but I don't care. They're not going to stop me. I'm going to use every damn medium out there, every platform out there. I'm going to use it to communicate to my people. But so we do this. We like I said, the Democrats, they preyed upon the emotions of black people to get their asses into office. Again, they always do that. They preyed upon the issue of defunding the police, and then as soon as they won, they damn won. They effing won. They won the control of the House, control of the Senate, and the president. They won it, and then they turn around and talk about. They put out the narrative, oh, we should have never talked about defunding the police. I could see the betrayal coming right then and there. And they turned that narrative around. They said, we didn't get a big enough lead. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? You won on that. And then they turned around and said they didn't get a big enough lead. And I could see right now that they were going to just back away from that. Then the issue became end qualified immunity. End qualified immunity for the police. And even prior to that, the Democrats began to call for increasing the police presence, like Joe Biden. The traitor. Well, no, I'm not even going to call him a traitor because he never was with black people ever. I don't understand why we put him in there. We should not have done that. We should not have helped him at all. And we should make our voices known. We're not voting for Democrat any longer. We're not going down this path repeatedly. But anyway, the Democratic Party, they abandoned the fight for qualified immunity. They said, oh, we're getting some resistance, so they pulled it off the table. It didn't get voted down. They pulled the issue of qualified immunity for these beast officers off the table. And still during midterms, the majority of the black electorate voted for them. Now, I say the black electorate because there are more and more black people saying, to hell with the Democrats, to hell with both of them, but they are not going to get our vote. We're not going to be hog-tied to this damn party. But those numbers are increasing, but it's not a sizable majority. So then it becomes about, then what the hell, who the hell are we talking to when we protest? If we're going to, we got to take responsibility for that. No action can happen without the environment that gives the green light for it to happen. Before any action can happen, before anybody can do anything, there's got to be a thought that comes into their mind at some point, and then there's got to be an environment that enables it to happen. There has to be an environment that enables it to happen. And everybody knows that police, when they kill black people or brutalize black people, will usually get away with it. Now, there's a lot of levels to this, because those black officers, I will tell you right now, I have seen them come fast for a black officer. I have seen that happen, and I have no love at all, no empathy, no nothing for these officers who did that. But they will come, if they're going to come after any police, you better believe it's going to be the black ones when they do something wrong, and they should. But they should be going after all of them. But the system, there was a system in place, an environment in place that gave those officers the sense that they could do this. And we have to take responsibility for what we create. We vote as if there's no cause and effect to any of our actions. We vote as if there's just no cause and effect to it. We continue to reward the Democratic Party no matter what. So the Democratic Party, we have as much police brutality under the Democrats as Republicans. I will tell you right now, if this was Trump, if he was still in office, if he was still president, you can best believe they would have been tying his name to this like anything. Trump has got to go. This is because of Trump. But the truth, but it's Biden in office. But it doesn't matter whether it's Republican or Democrats in office. Police brutality continues, and they continue to get away with it. And black people continue to support the Democrats, reward the Democrats when they betray us. Barack Obama, the first black president, he was against reparations for black people. He was pro-war. He bombed Africa, bombed Libya. He would talk down to black people all the time. He was against reparations for black people, but he paid into reparations for the victims of the Nazi Holocaust. He boycotted the World Conference Against Racism, and yet, oh, somebody said, stop digging in your nose, ghetto. Let me just block this person. I'm not dealing with, like I said, some people are going to get their stupid, ignorant comments off because I'm just not paying attention to the comment section, and I'm just not going to be detracted by them. I'm not going to even acknowledge their existence. I'm just going to block them. So some people might, get off to that somewhat. Let me see. I see a request from somebody. Let me see what this request says. Oh, I will accept this person. I will accept his request. H-Town 632. Yes, come on in. H-Town 632, how are you?
I am okay. How about yourself?
Well, furious. But we have to have some serious conversations about what's going on. And I hear an echo. Do you hear an echo?
Hold on. I got you. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, not a problem. But anyway. Hello?
Does that sound better?
Yeah, it sounds a little bit better.
Yeah,
Right. But going back to what I was just saying, let me just finish this one thought and then you can please speak. But Barack Hussein Obama, the antithesis of King, the antithesis of that, his DOJ, Department of Justice, George Zimmerman walked. Now, I don't remember if that might have been Obama's second term. Was it his second term? But I know that Obama was showing some serious issues in his first term, and still he has the adoration of so many, way too many black people in the community, and they voted for him again anyway, twice. And I'm like, well then what is this voting about? Who are we talking to when we make these demands? The Democratic Party pulled the issue of qualified immunity off the table. They pulled it off. As soon as Biden gets in office, he starts calling for more, there should be more police. They pull the issue of qualified immunity off the table, and yet we're acting like we won so much during the midterms. I can tell you right now, the state that I live in, there have been people protesting for years. And I still go to protest at times. I'm not going to not do that, but I'm going to be like, well, who the hell are you talking to? Because you bring no consequences to anybody. everybody knows, right now, you can do whatever the way how you want to the black community and be a Democrat, and they're gonna still vote for you. It's gonna happen. That's unfortunate, but when it comes to the black electorate, most people are Democrats, although the numbers are rising a little bit more among the Republican Party, and I mean, that's just a losing strategy all the way, a double losing strategy. When black people talk, oh, what is better, the Democrats or the Republicans? I'm like, that, please, I hate when I even hear any conversation start out Democrat or Republicans, because it is really a losing strategy. But with black people, we can afford to lose. We are the least ones who can afford to lose anything, but we still continue on with this strategy. I know right now, 2024, when is the next election, 2024, it's going to be, oh, we got to vote for the Democrats, oh, because we don't want the Republicans in, no matter what they do. No matter what they do. So, dear brother, please jump in.
Well, I've talked to you before, we a lot. I just want to start off by saying that I'm just as frustrated as you are about these police doing what they did. I feel I feel your pain just like everybody else that watch and witness this. So I'm in 100% agreement that we need to get rid of qualified immunity. See, a lot of times when you have a conversation with somebody, you have to start out the things that you are in sync with, like qualified immunity, getting rid of the electoral college. There's a bunch of things that they can do directly for black people that will have us have a better understanding of things. But as far as the two-tiered system, if there's only if it's a two-horse town or a two-motel town, you either going to go to one motel when you hit that town, or you're going to go to the other motel when you hit that town. There's no such thing as sitting out. Black people don't have we don't have the luxury of sitting out and not having an impact, however small that impact can be. You know what I mean? If black people didn't vote, right, we said, okay, because neither one of these individuals is speaking to our constituency, we're just going to sit this out. Then what? Just talk to me about that for a second.
Oh, sure. I'd be more than happy to. Let's first go back to what has ever happened for black people because it was voted in. We have never gotten anything. But I wish we did, but the truth of the matter is we didn't. Chattel slavery did not end because, oh, gee whiz, I'm not sure who the main parties were at that time. Republican.
I get what you're saying.
Right.
What you're saying. We talk about 1865, and we talk about the Emancipation Proclamation. It wasn't because of black people voting. Go ahead.
Right, but chattel slavery did not end because they could have voted it. They could have said, okay, chattel slavery is illegal. Let's just vote it. Let's just make a law and say that it's no more. But that didn't happen that way. To even be able to sit on a bus, to be able to just sit peacefully on a bus, that didn't happen because somebody voted. And Johnson did not. Neither Kennedy nor Johnson came into office and said, you know something, this is wrong. We gotta change the laws and vote this out. None of that happened like that. It was because of the black liberation struggle, because of the fighting and the organizing that we have done on the street, boots on the ground. Voting has not advanced us in the least at all. And there are other choices. There are always other choices.
You don't know what you don't know, and you don't know how the electorate, how the country's focus would have been without our input in voting. You know what I mean?
But
Raphael, listen.
Okay, go on.
You take Raphael Warnock's victory out of the 2000 and what was it, 18 or 20, whatever whenever he won, you take that out. You know what I'm saying? And the country looks different because of the makeup of the House and the Senate. So, like, I can understand what you're saying about we've never really gotten any gains from it, any tangible gains. But what we gain is what you don't see if we don't do it. You know what I mean? If we didn't do it and we just allowed the Republicans to run roughshod, because that's all we're doing is stopping them. We ain't really helping the Democrats. We help the Democrats by default by stopping the Republicans and their destructive path on and their destructive narrative as far as
Let me just say this much. You see that I'm wearing something called a hands off. I hope people can see that. It says hands off Uhuru, hands off Africa. And I'm wearing that. And it says also stop the FBI attacks on the Uhuru movement. And I'm wearing that because I am a part of the Uhuru movement. I am a member of the Black is Back Coalition and the chair of the Black is Back Coalition. Also happens to be the chair of the African People's Socialist Party, Omali Yeshitela, on July 29th, 2022. The FBI launched a vicious, violent raid on on his organization in St. Louis and in St. Petersburg, Florida, St. Louis, Missouri, and St. Petersburg, Florida. They were involved in building up the Black community. They are definitely very much, African People's Socialist Party that tells you everything about their politics. They are definitely believe in the politics of the Black liberation struggle. Omali Yeshitela is a brilliant strategician, a brilliant orator, just brilliant. And they were building up, they were literally building up an economic base and a community economic base in St. Louis. They built up basketball courts, was building up a doula, a medical center. You know, they had their
black women was having such a difficulty with low birth
rate. Right.
And basketball is a great way to get up out of a bad situation. But the fact remains is that what we were initially talking about was
right. But let me just
the two-tier system.
Right.
And if you, my question to you was very simple: if you take the African American vote out of 2020 and 2022, where does that leave us?
But let me just finish this. So anyway, because there's a point to this. So they launched a brutal attack on them, came at them with armed flash grenades and all of that. Stole their equipment, stole their equipment from their offices and their homes. They came at some people, they had guns pointed at them. It was really violent. And yet nobody was arrested. And to this day, this happened July 29th, 2022. Nobody has been charged. Although they're hanging these charges over their head, they might indict them because they have been very, very vocal about speaking out against NATO and what's going on with Ukraine. They said that Russia was right to do what they would do. They said Russia has been basically bullied into this. So anyway, and they have the right to take. That's what they feel. That's what they feel. But anyway, the Congressional Black Caucus, I think it was in May, but it was somebody from the Congressional Black Caucus, Gregory Meeks of New York, introduced a bill it's called the Countering Malign Russian Activities in Africa Act. It called for the United States to monitor the activities of all people, of every African country that there is, literally, and not just African countries, but basically called for the United States to monitor Black people all throughout the world, including in the United States. They use the term diaspora, which is code for monitoring Black people. Even though we have this brutal history of COINTELPRO targeting, going after Black people, Black organizations, and all of that, you have the Congressional Black Caucus, all of the Congressional Black Caucus in the House signed on to that, all of the members of the squad signed on to that. In fact, it was a bipartisan effort with the majority. It passed the House overwhelmingly. In fact, the only people who opposed it were the Republicans, were some Republicans, not many, but some of them did. This is the people that we voted into office, who that was such a betrayal because basically they called for the United States to do exactly what they Joe Biden's the FBI under Joe Biden did this. Their continuation, but revving it up against the black liberation struggle. We do have other alternatives that we can vote for. We don't have to go Democrat or Republican, but we always fall into that thing. Well, what if we don't do this? The Republicans or whatever is going to win, and it is how long do we continue to do that? We have been doing that for at least the last 50 years, and we see things continuing to be taken from us, and we give a worse message. We give a message not just to the Democrats, but we give a message to the Republicans. We give a message that we're weak. We give a message that you can tell us anything, that we will vote for it, that we don't have a bottom. You might hear my cats in the background because my cat is in heat, and I have two female cats, and they don't go outside, so they're not going to be around male cats. And spaying a cat is giving them a hysterectomy, so I don't want to do that. I don't believe in doing that. But anyway, you might hear them a little bit. That's what's going on. But anyway, we do that all the time, and it's not working. Um, we have to understand the power lies within us, within the black liberation struggle. And we should have demands about ourselves and organize for that and be prepared to stand up and to fight back. We have come through every Republican that has been in, we have come through, and I want to do more than just come through. Don't get me wrong. I want to do more than just come through. But for the most of our existence in this country, we could not even vote. So why do we make voting be about power instead of being about weakening us so severely? Because then it makes no sense. Then if we're going to just vote the Democrat no matter what, we don't hold them accountable. We don't. And we're just going to turn around and vote for them anyway. Then what is this even about? Who are we talking to when we have these protests and when we say we are going to demand that this happen? Who are we talking to if we're not even willing to say, wait a minute? We're not going to, you cannot do this, because we give a message that you can do this. We give a message that if anybody wants to jerk over any community, it's the black community. You can. And we give that message to the Democrats. And that means, that's almost like, if you remember in the playground, and well, I was bullied when I was younger. I don't know if everybody was bullied, but you know that I understood this much when I was in the playground, that I had to, when I determined to fight back, I had to come out strong, because I knew this much, that if if I was going to appear to be very, very weak to the person who was fighting me, then the bullies were going to just come back even harder.
Yeah, people respect strength. I get that, but we're in the situation we're in. We can make it. We can want it to be what we want it to be, but it is what it is.
Well, then we're never going to get out of it that way. We're just never going, because they're not going to present anybody. We don't even demand that when people are running, that everybody who makes it on the ballot.
They don't speak to our needs directly. They speak to rising tide floats all boats. They speak to all communities. They don't really speak to the black community, because you know why they don't really speak to the black community? Because A, we don't have one person speaking for us. Then B, we have so many issues that it's almost like suicide to say we're going to focus on this issue for the black community to help the black, because it'll be so simple to see that they've made no progress. So they speak in general terms, and so you can't quantify any of the problems. We are hurting as black people in America on every level, from the educational standpoint, from the judicial system, from the financial aspect. Like, you can't pick. If you're a black person in America, you look at all sides of life and you ask yourself, where are black people winning? It's not one area that we're winning. And the reason why I'm saying that is because, so that means we can want to think, come from a position of strength all we want, but the reality is we are where we are. So the question becomes, in our current state, in our current position, if we're not voting, and this is all I was kind of wanting to speak to. I didn't want to go into the other areas because there's a bunch of ways we can look at it. But if we just talk about in terms of vote, if in a two-tiered system, there's only two options. So either you're going to vote Democrat or you're going to vote Republican. There is no other option. So while there's no other option, really, black people, I mean, it makes sense for 95% of the black electorate to vote Democrat because the alternative would be crazy. Now there's white Europeans who vote against their own, because most, a lot of white people are poor too, but they still vote against their constituency by voting for Republicans who have no love for whites, just as well as they have no love for blacks.
But see, go on.
So the question is, in our current state, not how we would like it to be, in our current state of being, at the bottom of the heap on every level, how in the world can we sit out of government and don't vote? And then what's the alternative? That's all I wanted to do. I'm gonna jump off and answer. What is the alternative?
The alternative is being very connected to the Black liberation struggle, getting involved.
You could be connected.
No, I mean very connected.
I mean, you could be connected. I'm just as connected. I know about Lumumba, the preacher, Lumumba. I know about the Black theology movement. I understand everything that you're talking about. Read all of those books just like you did.
But get involved.
I'm saying we live in a world today where Black people are marginalized in so many ways. So the question is, with us being in the state we're in today in 2023, you know what I'm saying? Tell me, without voting, where does that leave us as a Black people without the concept of what could be?
I'm going to answer that, and this is based on what has happened before in the past, because we have to give credit to our people. There have been no gains that happened for us because somebody decided we just want to vote it in. When we didn't get the right to vote because people voted it in.
Let me stop right here, quick.
Sure.
Just understand this. I am not saying for us to stop doing any of those other things. Don't get me wrong. You can do two things at once. You could be for qualified immunity. You could be for the liberation of Black people in America and in Africa and abroad. You could be for all of those other things and still not, campaign against what we have to do. And I'm not saying we have to, because nobody has to vote. You vote. Everybody on an individual basis votes because they feel it necessary. If you don't deem it necessary, you don't have to vote. You know what I mean? But to hear somebody talk about voting as though, while that's the only answer, like that's not the only answer, and I understand that clearly. It's not, voting is not going to fix anything, but not voting could hurt things. Does that make sense?
Because if you are out, if people are out there and they claim that they're fighting against police brutality, because I know people like fighting against police brutality, doing this, doing that, saying they want this and they want that, and then they turn around and they reward the Republicans who will do the opposite of what they have asked them to do. They do not the Republicans. They reward the Democrats. So that means you're canceling out what you're doing on the ground. It's like the Democratic Party is the most important thing to them above the Black liberation struggle, because there has to come a time at some point. If you've been doing something for 50 years, when do we get the right to vote officially? I don't even know. But the vote.
67.
Okay. Well, about 50, 60 years or something.
Right.
We've been doing this.
Born in 69, so 67, yeah.
Right. So we've been doing. So that's what, about roughly 50 something years or something like that. I don't even.
53.
Okay.
Yeah, so about 55 years.
Right. And we've been doing this. That's all we've been doing. Oh, vote for the lesser, vote for the lesser to
Well,
eat.
actually, what we've been doing is the gains, and this is what somebody like Obama would say. The gains are marginal at best. You know what I'm saying? They're incremental gains. Like in the condition that we're in, it's impossible to think that everything will just turn around in a day.
Let me put it to you like this.
That's just not the way life works. If you're 200 pounds overweight, ain't no way to go to the gym and in one day fix what you've broken. So if we have 460 years of slavery slash Jim Crow slash just not caring about what black people are and do in America outside of chaining them and jailing them, if we have spent 460 years doing that, what makes you think in my lifetime, because I'm only 53, that we could turn all of that around and now it'd be it'd be George and Wheezy for black people in America.
Oh, I didn't say anything about what.
It might take 460 years for us to be in a situation where we're tied to Jamaica, we're tied to Africa. Black people in America tied to Africa, tied to Jamaica, tied to the diaspora. That's not a bad word. That just means black people abroad. That means black people in every country on this planet.
Oh no, diaspora is a beautiful word, but the way that the way they were using it, the Democrats were using it was code for monitor every black person throughout the diaspora, and they will be rewarded for that. Let me just say this, okay? Let me just say this.
So you don't like? So hold up. So you don't like Democrats?
Not in the least. I'm not going to vote for anybody who is not for our people. I'm not going to vote for anybody. I'm not going to vote for anybody who betrays us.
Last question. So if you don't like Democrats, so who do you vote for?
I haven't voted Democrat or Republican. And I go out there, I look for the person who's going to represent what I want. And usually what happens, and this is where this mentality of vote blue no matter who is so destructive, because what that ends up doing,
Blue no matter who.
but it is vote blue no matter who, because it's voting the Democrat. It's voting blue no matter who, because it comes
two-tier system.
It's vote blue no matter who. But we don't have.
Yeah, it's just
No, but that's not. There are other people who run. No, but there is alternative. There are other people who run.
What in the last election there was? What alternative did they have? Because we only have a two-tiered system.
No, we don't. We don't have just the two-tiered, but that's all that the people are locked into, because there are other people who do. You have Green Party candidates who run. What?
Mathematics. It's mathematics.
No, it's not math. No, it's not math. It's only mathematics, because the people are locked into their mind of saying that.
But you can have as many people run as possible, right? But if you don't get the votes, like where I am locally, it's about votes. It's all mathematics. If you can get and from your perspective, wherever you're at in the country, if there's a thing where it's a bunch of people vote. I mean, it's a bunch of candidates, right? If you can get your candidate to have one more vote than your competitors, you win. So if we as African Americans could get a what is it when you guys work together? You can get a conglomerate of people to vote that really would have black people's interests. I would be right there with you, standing right next to you. I would be right there with you.
But there are people.
Listen, that doesn't exist right now.
No. Let me say this.
Johnson is good. It doesn't exist. In 2022, just passed, who could you have voted for that would have given you the feeling of everything that you and I both know, because we're on the same page?
Well, let me put it to you like this.
For other than the Democrats.
Let me put it to you like this. Because there are other people who do run. And with the thinking of, because it is blue no matter who, that's what it comes down to, blue no matter who. And what the situation is, being locked into, oh, Democratic, that's all that exists, meaning that you're going to ignore any other candidate. And if people just have the mindset of, you know something, they're not going to even let these other candidates become known, because they're not going to allow them to ever debate them. No, let me finish. Let me finish. Let me finish. No, let me. But if people have the attitude, you know what? Instead of just voting blue, no matter, or voting for the lesser of two evil, we have to get out there and look for other candidates who are running and give them a chance based on our ideals, based on what we want. You should be voting your ideals. It should be about, look for the candidate who represents what you want.
Ideals will be if getting rid of the qualified immunity, get rid of the electoral college, bringing home Asada Shakur. These are the things that I would like to see happen.
Well, then, but voting your way means it's never going to happen. If you go, it's never going to happen, because they are never. Do you think that this system is going to? They won't even allow third-party candidates to participate in a debate. That shouldn't even be allowed to happen. But they won't. Now, do you think this government is going to be like, you know what? That's only fair. Let's make sure we give other candidates equal time. That's never going to happen. So that means we're locked in a situation that's never going to change, and that's never going to happen, because people are going to always vote Democrat or Republican, because it's never going to happen.
But that's the system that we have.
No, that's the system that we accept. That is the system that we accept. I would love to see 1 year, like black people say, you know, we're fed up with this. We're going to boycott. We ain't going to participate in this at all. And we're going to work toward building up our own. We're going to boycott it. The Democrats have betrayed us, and we're not going to give anybody our vote anymore who does not deserve our vote.
Okay, can I say one thing? There's places in America where blacks have the control, right? But because there's numbers. It's all about numbers. So if it's a place in 50,000, Ferguson, Missouri, for instance, strikes me 50. You know, it's 170,000 people in Ferguson, Missouri, and 80,000 of them are black. So that means no matter how you slice it, if all of the black people vote, pretty much whatever the black people want, they will get. But because a lot of people don't vote, we don't even touch on the power that we have.
The conditioning is vote for the Democrat.
Listen. No. You don't even have to repeat that, because I'm clear that that's how you think it is. But what I'm saying to you is that if it's 80,000, if 80,000 of 150,000 county or city is black, and there's a white mayor, that's typically because black people did not vote. So and most black people, whether you say the idea is blue, no matter what, and where I'm from, we have a good majority as well, but people don't vote. That's the problem. The problem is up and down everybody blue, no matter what, or whatever the jingle you speak of, maybe in presidential elections it's like that, but up and down the ballot, people by and large don't vote. Where I am right now, the person that won the mayor only had 25,000 votes. It's 140,000 people that live in my city, but only 25,000 of them voted for the mayor, who ultimately ended up being the mayor. And there's a lot of black people in our city that just don't vote. So the concept that all black people do is vote Democrat, you're wrong in that sense, because some black people don't vote at all.
But I mean, the majority of the electorate, the black electorate that does vote, that's what I'm talking about.
Those people are in tune with the fact that you can want to vote for whoever you want to, but you can only vote for the people who are on the ballot to vote for.
Well, but there are always other people who have been on the ballot there have always been more than Democrat or Republican that have been on the ballot, at least where I live. But let me just go back. And what people have to do is take responsibility for what they are voting for, because for the last 20 years we have had overt war, both parties pro-war, and Other people are dying because of that. The birth defects are off the chain in certain parts of the Middle East. There is not even a demand put on any politician who runs for office to end these wars, and yet people, Democrat and Republican, and the people who vote are voting for this, and people are dying from this, from whatever this strategy is that people have come up with, where you got to vote Democrat or Republican. They are dying. There are we right now. This is Democrat, Republican voting that lesser evil or whatever. Democrat or Republican. Right now, we are probably far closer to the concept of nuclear war than we should ever want to be. Germany I just heard that Germany and is now going to be going with the United States to send tanks to Ukraine.
Yeah.
Tanks to you. And this people got to take responsibility for how they vote. This is the United States has been given a mandate for war by the people. For the last 20 years, the United States has been.
So hold on. So you don't believe that the United States geopolitically should align with the with the company the country that is going against Ukraine? You don't believe that from a geopolitical standpoint, America should back the Ukraine? You don't believe that
America is starting it. NATO, they've been the United States has been the country that's been invading more countries than anybody. It's been the United States. Oh no, but they have been.
Specific. I'm saying, do you believe? This is a direct question. Do you believe that America should aid Ukraine against?
No, I don't. No, they should not. They should stay out. NATO, they are the aggressors and.
Listen, wait, forget about NATO for a second.
But you can't.
If you allow Russia to do that there, what about when they decide that they want to come here?
Well, it has been the United States that has been the one that has been invading all these countries for the last. It has been the United States, not Russia. It has been the United States, and the United States. 2 days before Russia went into the Ukraine, the United States dropped bombs on Somalia. There have been what they call a shadow war that's been going on the continent of Africa and Somalia for at least the last 15 years or so. And it's the United States. There's been so much going on. I advise everybody to please go look. Follow the Black Alliance for Peace and the Black Agenda Report. But the United States has been the aggressor in this, and you cannot bully people. You cannot take the attitude that I'm going to go invade any country that I want and then tell another country that you can't do this. And the United States bombed Somalia 2 days before Russia went into Ukraine. Nothing is said about that. And furthermore, the Ukraine, with the way that they were treating African people, disrespecting them.
No, I get that. I get that.
No, so I ain't nothing for Ukraine, and they have strong neo-Nazi sympathies.
This is the thing about being on the world stage as America. As America on the world stage, there are certain instances where two things can be true at the same time. They can have a misguided approach to Africa and still be.
No, they're not misguided. They have a brutal approach to Africa. A brutal approach.
Impact on Africa and still be right about Ukraine at the same time. Well, it's not a mutually listen. It's not mutually exclusive. It's not okay if they're wrong about Africa, then they must be wrong about Ukraine too.
Well, that ain't what I said. I didn't say that. But I'm talking about.
I was talking about Ukraine. You brought
no, because you I brought that up because here's what I think that the people in the United States should be doing. They should be demanding that their damn country stops all these wars. And I bring that up because how the hell can you tell Russia not to invade another country, but then they go on and drop a bomb on another country and nobody says anything about that? Nobody says anything about that.
They didn't overtly. Well, they don't talk about Africa, period.
Right. So how do we accept that? How do we accept that? People in this country know the United States has been at war for at least the last 20 years.
We're 13% of the population in America, and we don't get as 13% of the population that's on a permanently underclass. We don't get to dictate what people do in our native country. Remember, we don't have the kind of structure and power in government to have a positive effect.
And we don't have to accept it either. We should be using our voice every chance we get.
I was talking about
No, but I'm saying, but my question is, when we're talking,
if we just focusing our attention on the Ukrainian issue, if I asked you a simple question, is do you believe that America is in the right place by backing the Ukrainians against Russia?
And I said, and I don't.
You said no.
Yeah, because I don't believe that. But if anybody in the United States is going to talk about Russia and not talk about what the heck the United States has been doing, what the position that people in the United States should be taking is demanding that the United States stop these invasions and end these wars and stop being the aggressor and get out of NATO, because NATO has been they have been instigating. That's what people in the United States should be demanding. And they cannot talk about Russia while the United States is still bombing other countries. 2 days before they bombed Somalia.
But I don't believe that America is being what's his name by NATO. NATO doesn't run America.
I didn't say NATO ran America. I said the United States is bullying. I said and we should be demanding an NATO. We should be demanding that the United States stops what it's doing, stops invading all these other countries, because that is what they have been doing. And we should be demanding that. That's what we should be doing.
So, okay, to help me be clear, what country in 2023, right, January, what country is America invading in 2023? And it's got to be overt. It can't be clandestine.
But why can't it be clandestine? Why we should be concerned about all of that.
Because that's not what Russia's doing right now. Russia's not doing an overt clandestine mission. They are literally bombing the crap out of the Ukrainian area.
You cannot separate. You cannot separate all the years and all the days prior to 2023. I can't even tell you exactly where the United.
Have a conversation that throws everything at the wall at the same time. You have to have a conversation.
No, but you let me tell you right now. Let me tell you right now. The people for the last 20 years, the people in the United States have been silent, have turned their eyes on what the United States has been doing and all the countries they have been bombing and invading. They just turned their eyes to it. They didn't care. They literally did not care. And you can't wipe that away. And that has everything to do with what's currently going on right now, because I knew it was only going, no other country is going to just sit there and be like, oh, well, the United States go on and invade this country and invade that country. And then they continue to.
We've egged on.
Yeah, yes, I do. Yes, I do. Yes, I do.
That is not. These people are taking the Russian aggression against what they perceive as, because if you got to understand geopolitics in its whole. Russia used to be a bigger country. The United States, USSR, the U.S. Federation of Russian States, used to be a lot bigger. They broke up the Russian, and these individuals. Listen, these individuals, countries, establish their sovereignty and determine to have self-rule. It's this one person in Russia thinks that he remembers the time when Russia had was a bigger country and had a more substantial place on the world stage. He has nostalgia for bringing back Russia into its former glory, which is what this war is all about.
No, I disagree with that, and I don't have. No, I disagree.
Russia back together, and if he decides, if he's comfortable with taking a really, all we're talking about is people with the right to rule themselves. All right. So the Ukrainians have a right to rule themselves, and which is free, what they call freedom. I know.
But the Ukrainians does not believe in terms of the people who are part of the Donbass region who wanted to. And like I need to. I don't have the details in front of me, but who wanted to be affiliated with Russia, and they had been launching war against them.
That is unequivocally inaccurate.
No, that is not true at all. That's not true at all. And what we
those people don't want to be part of Russia. Those people want to be exactly where they're at.
No, let me put it to you like this. I have a complete disagreement with you on this, but I would need to go back because when I get into these kind of things, I like to be prepared and I like to have certain things in front of me, which I don't happen to have. But I'm going to suggest that people go to the Black Alliance for Peace, read their website. They should definitely be at least being aware of the things they're saying. The Black Agenda Report. I'm going to encourage people to please go to that. There's another website I think called thecostofwar.org, and I'm going to encourage people to please go to that. I'm not prepared to discuss the particulars right now about Ukraine. I am against what the United States is doing there. I do know about the wars that the United States has been in and egging on right up until the present day. Right up until the present day.
They're aiming a free country to try to remain free. That's all they're doing.
Who's doing that? Who's doing that? Who?
It's Indian, Ukrainian.
I know. Well. Did America not say that they were going into Iraq because of weapons of mass destruction? America said that they were invited in by Afghanistan.
You're telling me that if this, then that. It's every situation, every geopolitical situation is different.
No. What I'm telling people, what I am saying, I'm gonna be very clear about what I'm saying. The United States has been at overt war for the last 20 years, right up until the present day, and people in the United States have said nothing. And what it stands to, people in the United States should be taken is demanding that the United States end these wars, that they pull out, that they stop being the instigator. They should be demanding that, and they ain't got a thing to say about Russia. You don't have a thing to say about Russia with all the crap that is going on within the United States. It's ridiculous to point fingers at Russia and to turn their backs to what the United States. The United States is the country that has been the aggressor. The United States is the country that has been invading all these other countries for the last 20 years. It wasn't Russia, it was the United States. And people just want to put blindfolds on about that. So that is what I am unequivocally saying.
In Afghanistan, because America invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, all lies about uranium and rice cake and what have you. Because of that, then that means America
for 20 years, and people said nothing.
I'm with you. I'm going away with you. But since they did that, since A, they did that. Then B, they can't be on the side of the Ukrainians. Again,
I don't understand how anybody can trust them. I don't understand how anybody can just simply trust what the United States is telling them about Ukraine. Let's look at what happened. Remember how Haitians were being treated? Remember how Haitians were being being whipped out of the country? Remember that? And then the United States turned around and then said to Ukraine, let's invite them in.
But listen, do you think as a black man that I don't want to see black people harmed nowhere in this world? I don't care who, and especially not by other black people. You know what I'm saying? So I get that. I'm with you on that. When I saw that shit was despicable. And the concept of, but there's issues, and then there's
a red flag should have gone up to every black person. Wait a minute. When we saw how Ukrainians were treating African people.
What I'm saying is, I want you to have a clear, be comfortable with the fact that there's multiple issues within a given issue. Do you understand that while Ukrainians could have an issue with black people in particular because they showed it. They didn't. It wasn't like black people did anything wrong. They was trying to leave. They didn't want no part of this army.
So that tells me
black people black.
Right. So
I get that, but at the same token, that's the issue in and of itself. And I'm on your side in agreement with you on that issue. I did not like the optics of it. I did not like the concept that they could be disrespectful towards black people in any way, shape, or form. That being said, it's still that's an issue. However big we want to make it, that's an issue on one level, right? But the concept that you would allow Putin to just run roughshod over Europe is the same.
he ain't running roughshod over Europe. But here's the deal. So I'm gonna trust a country like I'm gonna trust Ukraine. The Ukraine and the United States have similar mentalities in terms of how they feel toward black. That's a country I cannot trust. I do not trust, and I do not trust the United States in that because of that.
I don't trust America either.
I don't trust them out, and I don't trust Ukraine, and I certainly have no sympathies toward a country that would do that.
Because ultimately, I don't trust them either. But where does that leave us?
Russia never invaded. Russia never enslaved Africans. They never enslaved Africa. Russia did not participate in the colonization of Africa. Russia never bombed Africa. Russia never did those things.
Right. But I'll tell you this right now. If you think that life under Russian rule would be any different than life under American, they don't like black people either.
Well, I'm just going by what is. I'm just going by what is. I'm just going by what is. I'm just going by what is.
Do not like black Russians. Do not like black people either. They think of us as the same way as everybody else has this concept of us. So don't think.
I didn't say anything about what they. I'm talking about factually what is. I'm just speaking what is. I didn't say anything about what I think. I'm talking about black liberation. I'm talking about factually what is. I'm talking about factually what is. But we know this beast. Russia would provide support. Russia provided material support to many African countries. In fact, you should hear what Nelson Mandela had to say about Russia.
Listen, but you got to understand where that was coming from. That was them trying to egg on. They was trying to put a wedge between Africans and African Americans and America.
How are they trying to put a wedge between Africans and people and black people in this country?
A lot of countries, the Chinese threw pamphlets and the Japanese threw pamphlets during World War II to let it be known. Excuse me, I think it was the Chinese that threw pamphlets.
Oh, sugar. Damn it. Mm-hmm.